I actually had 3 retail stores for 30 years. I had a quilt shop, a button shop, and a needlework shop. That's exactly what you'll be reading about in the various series from the different locations, as I've used my experience with dealing with all sorts of people, and mostly in retail, actually. Basically, there are 5 things that I write about in each of my series. And the first is, of course, there's a very strong woman who has all the obstacles and challenges that most women have. I really like that. And then, of course, she loves quilts. And, I've loved quilts all my life. I'm a quilt appraiser. And so therefore, I also try to get in some education. If I'm talking about a certain quilt and I've learned something through the years being an appraiser, I will insert that in my book. And then, of course, there's always a bit of mystery. You have to have something going on. Well, trust me, I've known enough people, enough challenges with personalities, and of course, even paranormal. Having a shop in a historic district, all the shops had some kind of ghost. So I do write somewhat about paranormal. And then, of course, there's romance. And that's my favorite part because all through these women's lives, no matter what age, they encounter some sort of romance. And so there's always enough of that to carry us into the next book or the next series. So those are basically the components of the books that I write. And most of it is not fiction. It's life I've led. So they would immediately tell me, oh, yes, that was my grandmother. Oh, yeah, I remember when that happened with my aunt or whatever. And then I began to realize, as the more books I wrote, that these experiences were taken very seriously. For instance, when a death occurred in one of the books, I received a heartfelt letter from a lady, or an email, I should say, who was not able to grieve her husband's death until she read that book. And she said, it was so real to me. She said, I cried and cried and cried for the first time. And I want to thank you for that. I mean, this is the kind of results I seem to get with my books, which just it's my reward, truly, for writing. People have said to me, I feel like now I have friends. Some people are very isolated, and they may not, especially today, with the pandemic, they're very isolated, so they're not seeing their friends. But getting back to the book that has a family and that has friends already that you know and you like, that is a wonderful thing to offer people. They always ask which is my favorite book. And each book, because it does stand alone, it is part of a series, but it does stand alone. They each have a story that sometimes gets to me more than others. For instance, Quilted Lilies in the very first Coleridge series got the most response from readership just because of the emotion in it. Right now, I'm writing the Door County series, and so I'm experiencing all of this at the same time right now. I love Door County. We go there all the time, and so I'm really trying to be that local person, that resident, rather than a tourist. So right now, I'm totally enamored with Door County and writing this series. And the first one is out, called Quilters of the Door. And I think you'll find that one particularly interesting because I have a story of a group of quilters, and they're all very diverse. And I did that on purpose because they each can have their own stories and controversies and romances, whatever. But for them to all come together for their love of quilts is kind of fun. And they do this in Door County, which is an amazing place. So I'm having a great deal of fun right now. She's running away from a very unfortunate situation. And she ends up in Door County because she is moving into her best friend's cabin. And the reason she can do that is because her best friend went back home to take care of her mother, and she offered her the cabin. So it's a perfect runaway situation for her. And so that's how the story begins. So everything is new to her. And I think that's good, because then I have a way of describing the places, the people, and what the scenery, everything is new for her, like it would be to the reader. And so she's a quilter / watercolor artist. And what she noticed about this wonderful peninsula that's known for being open to artists is I'm not seeing the amount of quilts that you would think would be here. And she's kind of bothered by that. And so she's kind of on a mission to make quilts more prominent in the art world. They have artists of all different kinds. It's a perfect community for any artist. But she's a little disappointed with the exposure of quilts. So in the second novel, which is about to come out, is called Door to Door Quilts. And she has decided that there would be nothing better than to see quilts all up and down Main Street in Door County. And so she has all this great idea. And so she presents it to the board and so forth. And so we'll see if that becomes a reality. So I think that's why quilters will enjoy her adventure, is because she's always thinking about quilts and how she can make the world better with more quilts. But we all need that break. I know we all do a variety of things. I feel guilty, frankly, reading other material when I'm supposed to be writing. But I have people say to me all the time, I am not a reader, and I find myself not being able to put your books down. And so that's a wonderful compliment when they typically are not big readers and they find these so easy to read. My chapters are short. You can put them down, pick them up very easily. And they're fast reads, they really are. And some read the books over and over again, waiting for the next one to come out. So that's a great compliment. I encourage you to go in and like my Anne Hazelwood author page on Facebook. There's a lot I don't have time to communicate with a lot of people, but there are ways to reach me through my email, which is ann@booksontHings.com, and through Facebook. And I'm always anxious to hear what you have to say, and many make suggestions, and I sometimes use those. And so anyway, I just always thank everyone for taking the journey with me, because that's what this is.